allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Lisa, would you please read the opening statement and call the roll?
This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with the Senator Byron M. Bader Open Public Meetings Act, the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority set its annual meeting schedule for August 2018 to July 2019, setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting to the Secretary of State's office in Trenton, New Jersey, and the office of the Clerk of Atlantic City. The notice is published in the Press of Atlantic City, the Hampton Courier-Post, and the Newark Star Ledger on July 23rd, 2018, and July 24th, 2018. Members of the press will be permitted to take photographs of today's meeting, providing that it is done in a manner which is not distracting to the authority, nor interferes with the public's right to observe the meeting. Any member of the public who wishes to address the authority regarding items to be presented to the board today will be given the opportunity to do so. Comments regarding any issues that do not appear on today's agenda will be taken during the public comment portion at the end of the meeting. We ask that members of the public who address the board stand and state their name and address for the record each time they speak on an issue. It is also requested that comments be limited to 3 minutes per issue. Odia Butler.
Present.
Deborah DiLorenzo.
Present.
Ed Gant.
Here.
Mark D'Antonio.
Here.
Mayor Frank Gilliam.
Here.
Michael Hanley.
Here.
Gary Hill.
Here.
Howard Kyle.
Here.
William Mullins.
Here.
Kevin Ortzman.
Here.
James Closis.
Here.
Dave Rebuck for the State Attorney General.
Dave, are you on the phone? Is anybody on the phone?
Morgan Hassett here.
All right, Morgan.
Robert Long for the DCA Commissioner.
Good afternoon.
Frank Spencer. Vice Chairman Richard Tolson.
Here.
Chairman Robert Mulcahy.
Present. Thank you, Lisa. The first item on the agenda is the ratification of the minutes of the February 19th public meeting. I assume you've all read them. Does anybody have any corrections they wish to make? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to accept the minutes and place them on file.
Motion.
Been moved by Jim. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Rob. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For my Executive Director's Report today, I invited Bob Mulcahy and Tara Timmerman to come and talk to us a little bit about the program that Bob McDevitt, that that CRDA approved several months ago regarding training at the convention center in the kitchen area. So, Tara, if you want to just come up and say a few words about the program and the recent graduates as well.
Sure. Or should I
Perfect.
stand? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting us here today. We are very happy to report at Local 54 that we just completed our first adult training program. My name is Tara Timmerman. I'm the Director of Workforce Development for Local 54. CRDA has been incredibly supportive and helpful in terms of making sure our students were successful. We have been running our training program over at the convention center using the old Galleria area, which we are utilizing the culinary area in the back, the commercial kitchen, and then we're using where the vendors used to be, we're using that space for classroom. And we are providing instruction in housekeeping, culinary arts, as well as environmental services, as we know that those 3 positions are ones in the industry that we definitely need a lot of people to fill. We just completed, about a couple weeks ago, we had 38 people complete our program. We currently have 30 people working in full-time union positions in the industry. All of those individuals have criminal records. So we're working very hard to sort of shift the perspective down here and be able to help people who do have backgrounds and are trying to change their lives and change their families' lives and help them get employed in the industry. So, does anyone have any questions?
What do you think the percentage of Atlantic City residents are that go through the program?
We worked very closely with Recovery Court, which formerly was known as Drug Court, for Atlantic County and Cape May County. And then we also worked very closely with Volunteers of America here in Atlantic City. We're partnered with Oceanside Family Services now as well. And we know that approximately 90% of the people who completed the program were actual Atlantic City residents.
That's great.
Thank
I
you.
also think that this is an example to society at large for how you can deal with the re-entry of so many of these people that have gotten to prison back into lives. And having spent time as Commissioner of Corrections in this state, I understand the issue probably better than anybody and how hard it is. And so I commend you, and I commend the people who've gone through, and I think the employment rate is the most important thing. If you've got 30 of the 38 already employed, I assume the rest will get employed too. So that's, now, how many are in the program now?
We're currently waiting to start a new
Second.
training cohort. We have a grant application out where we're partnered with Rutgers University. It's for the opioid crisis grant, and we should find out if we were awarded that funding in the next week or two.
Okay. Comments from board members?
Chairman, I had the honor of being at the graduation. I too have a background in reentry as former chairman of the parole board. It's truly a model program. I've been around the country, but this is really a great partnership all the way around, and I want to commend you and President McDevitt on your leadership over there.
We do. We want to especially acknowledge Caesars, Borgata, as well as Tropicana have also been incredibly helpful in terms of assisting us with placing our students and being very open to taking into consideration their backgrounds. And, you know, we're working very closely with DGE, who have been incredibly helpful as well, and we're putting everyone in non-credential positions right now. And then eventually we hope to work out a process with them where people could earn the right to credentialing back by not being arrested, making sure that they're paying any fines or fees they owe to the state, and achieving some other benchmarks.
Do you find that each of these people are really into this program? They feel that this is a way for them?
What a lot of people, and those of you who've worked in reentry know, a lot of our folks go through programs when they're behind bars and when they're released that often don't have real outcomes. They're promised many things, but then it can often be very difficult to actually get them employed.
Right.
So the sheer fact that these individuals are brought into a highly structured training program that's not stigmatized, it's part of the union. They are part of the union. The fact they happen to have a record is just sort of a side issue in the way that we approach them. So these are people who are going to be union members, and by being able to go through that and identify with the union and then be able to identify with properties and their brands and then gain these skills, we're also getting them credentialed, using some industry recognized credentials. You know, it's just an extreme sort of self-confidence boost for them, and then also for their families to be more invested in them now that they're coming home. You know, they've burned a lot of bridges with their families sometimes, but this demonstrates that they're really trying to get things back on track.
You know, it may seem small in the overall scheme of things, but if you're close to it, you realize how hard it is. And I commend you on what you're doing. I think it's terrific, and I'd love to see more of it, even in other industries here in the city.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Any other comments from board members? Matt?
No, but I just thought it important to bring them here.
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes we get comments from the public asking what the board is doing for the residents in Atlantic City, and being a partner in this and providing that space, you know, I think is a pretty strong answer that this board is dedicated to the residents that live here, particularly some that may seem the most challenged to service.
I also do want to mention we're working with Oceanside Family Services to plan a reentry expo that we're hoping to offer at the convention center in our space while we're waiting for training to be able to start occurring again. And at that expo, we'll be providing a range of services to Atlantic City residents who might be not only seeking employment, but might be eligible for expungements, might be interested in getting other kinds of information about services in the city. And as far as we know, this isn't something that has really happened before, so we're really excited to potentially offer this in May or June. So we're in the planning stages right now for that.
Have you got any lawyers that pro bono work on the expungement issue?
We haven't reached out to anyone yet, but I know there are some because the city has previously done a couple of different events at some of the churches where they've worked with them on expungement. And we have a very good relationship with the criminal court system in Atlantic County, so we're going to be reaching out to them to get support as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else, man?
No, sir.
All right, we have a lot of items on the action agenda today. Many of them are administrative, but the first one is in a way similar, but I think extremely important to Atlantic City. It's an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City Police Department about community policing. It in effect is authorization to fund reservation an amount not to exceed $1.5 million for the tourism district and the Community Development Fund, and to negotiate and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City to fund a new Atlantic City Police Department Community Policing Initiative. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving a supplemental fund reservation not to exceed $1.5 million from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund for the 2019 CID budget. An intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City to hire 15 regular police officers to serve exclusively as neighborhood coordination officers under the city's new comprehensive community policing initiative. And the third amendment to the intergovernmental agreement dated May 27, 2016, to hire additional Class 2 police officers for the 2019 season.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals from the board? I want to make a short statement because I think today marks a significant milestone in the partnership between the Atlantic City Police Department and the CRDA for the betterment of the residents and the businesses in the city and for the millions of travelers who come here. Our commitment today of $1.5 million annually for the next 5 years will fund 15 new community police officers, 2 for each ward, and 3 to address homelessness and other issues for people on the street, as well as over 20 new Class 2 officers to add to the 45 we are currently funding. I think this is unprecedented level of cooperation between the CRDA and the Atlantic City Police Department. And that's really resulted in a lot of things that have happened over the years, which brings our investment with the police department and the tourism district since 2011 to $7.5 million. I would like to commend Chief White, who's here today. We had a good meeting. He and I have talked about this for 2 or 3 years, Chief, and it's coming to fruition. And I'd like for you to make any comments you wish to make to the public.
I just want to thank the board for assisting us and the city to try. Every day we're trying to come up with ways to make the city safer and more inviting to the residents, the visitors that come to this city. And I believe with this campaign and this program that we're using, which we're modeling after the NYPD Police Department, is going to make a significant difference here in Atlantic City, especially the casinos that front the boardwalk.
I think that the key to this thing is not only the designation for them to do this, but to assign 2 specific officers to each ward. They will get to know the people will get to know them, and this is how this really works, and I commend you for that, and I thank you for the cooperation. I might also add we have a distinguished visitor here today, former Lieutenant Colonel of the State Police, Mike Fedorko, who was here. He's now working for the County of Atlantic and is running the instruction for many of these officers. Michael, if you'd stand up and let everybody. He also was the chief of the Port Authority Police too, so he's had a long and distinguished career in public service.
The chief, clap for him. Thank you.
Board discussion.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, this goes to meeting the recommendations of the Johnson report. And Mike Epps is here to recognize him as part of the Atlantic City Executive Council. Policing and clean and safe is all part of that report, and this goes to getting into the neighborhoods and addressing that. And I think we'd be remiss to say that if we didn't say that it has the full support of the Attorney General's office as well.
No, that's important, and this is a discussion we've had for 2 or 3 years here with the chief, and I'm happy to see it come to fruition. And Rob, I thank you too for being part of getting this done for us. Any other board members want to make a comment?
No, this is a critical investment, obviously. Can you speak a little bit more, Chief, about the model that you gleaned this from in New York City, and sort of the success that you saw in New York City, so people get a better understanding of what you're doing?
Yes, I'll be glad to. What we're copying from New York City is that they're taking these veteran officers and actually freeing them up from having to respond to 911 calls. So therefore, they could be more proactive in engaging with the community and able to spend more time problem solving with the community, both the residential community and the business community, in getting problems solved. And what we're going to do here in Atlantic City is we're not taking new officers to do this. We're going to take veteran officers that know the terrain, know the city, know how government operates. But we're also going to give them some additional training so that they are expert in everything that pertains to city government, so that if a resident, say on Ohio Avenue, or someone from casino security has an issue where they need to navigate the bureaucracy of city government, these officers will be able to do that for them. And they're going to be giving cell phones, and this is what they're going to be doing full time. And they're going to be responsible for the areas that they patrol. And with that, I believe that it's going to make a significant difference. And I know, Mr. Glover, that you're over top of Borgata, but Harris, Borgata, and Golden Nugget is almost a lot of times insulated from the problems that we see on a daily basis in Atlantic City. And these officers now are going to help not only Borgata, but the casinos that are on Pacific Avenue, the boardwalk, to navigate through this homelessness problem. Those folks that are dealing with mental health issues, aggressive begging, those chronic shoplifters, these guys are going to spend full time partnering with our social service agencies and trying to alleviate their problem. We've been arresting people forever, and that's not solving the problem. So we need to double down and dig a little deeper, and I really believe this is going to make a difference.
Other questions from board members? Any other comments? Any comments from the public?
Mr. Chair, if I could. We just left the executive council meeting earlier today, and Jim Johnson had another engagement, but he asked that I show up and give his sincere appreciation for the CRDA in this effort. This was one of the things that comes out of the Johnson report. My office, our work is the genesis of that report, and we continue to do those things. This is one of the things that was in the implementation plan, and certainly it's with the support of Chief White and the work of the Citizens Advisory Board. This is one of the things that will help all those folks do what they need to do to bring the community engaged in police work and bring those two organizations together. And I think it is imperative that this happen, and it's going to be, as Chief said, quite productive to some of the turnaround that we hope to see. So we just like to thank the board for its support or anticipated support, and we hope that this can be approved and we can move forward with this. Thank you.
Mike, I appreciate that. Jim was kind enough to call me and thank me about it, but it's taken the impetus of this administration to get this over the finish line, in the sense that this is something we as a board and as an organization have talked to the chief about for 2 or 3 years, but we couldn't get it there. And I think it's terribly important, and I want to commend everybody who worked together to get this done. So thank you. Bill, you wish to say something?
Well, I just want to compliment our chief of police, compliment our mayor, CRDA, executive board, that our city is beginning to face the facts that we got to take care of our citizens and our visitors for safety. And I'm glad that everything is beginning to, I can see the difference. I don't watch a whole lot that goes on in our city. And I see the difference. And that, what I see is the same thing that other people see when they come to town. So you guys are doing a good job, keep up the good work, and maybe everybody be proud of this city like I used to be proud of it way back.
Yes, sir.
Mike Lopez, resident. As a retired corrections officer, 25 years here.
Please stand up.
Yep, sorry. In Atlantic County, Mr. Chairman, I applaud what you guys are doing with the expungements and doing that. A lot of times at the county, I've been out for a few years, but most of the time the guys just wanted another chance. You know, somebody makes a mistake, and with a second chance, the CRDA, working with the CRDA Special Improvement Division for a few years also, after retirement. Bunch of good guys. So expungements, Jill Houck's the woman you want to get with at the Atlantic County building. She's great. She'll be happy to do that. And Chief White, the two things I heard, we always talk about a cleaner, safer, stronger Atlantic City. That's it, man. Those guys engaging with people, watching, seeing who's out there, the veterans. I mean, that's the way to go. Get the old heads out and make them do their thing, and that's what they want to do. So I applaud it. I thank you.
You're very welcome. Other comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public section. I'll accept the motion to approve the resolution.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion from any board member? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Chief, thank you. Mike, thank you both for being here today. I appreciate it. And this is the beginning, I think, that when I said milestone, that I think is really what I think describes this point in time, as well as anything else in terms of what we're trying to do to eliminate and help some of the issues that we have. Next item on the agenda is the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City on boardwalk lumber and materials. This is supplemental fund reservation for boardwalk lumber and materials in an amount not to exceed $500,000, and authorization to amend the existing intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City in furtherance of the non-casino component of the boardwalk revitalization project. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving the fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $500,000 and the negotiation and execution of an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City dated June 28, 2013 for the purchase and installation of materials to repair the boardwalk, all in furtherance of the non-casino open space program of the Boardwalk Revitalization Project.
Matt, do you want to discuss this a little bit?
This is a request that came to us from Paul Jenkins, the Director of Public Works. Back in 2013, the CRDA provided the city with a $1.7 million grant for boardwalk repair. That's been completely exhausted, and what their request is for $500,000, really for emergency repairs up to the boardwalk today.
My feeling, and I think the feeling of the board is, this is certainly obviously necessary right now, but I think there's a much bigger issue. And it's probably too big to handle, but the issue is a long-range plan for the boardwalk. And when you look at the boardwalk that's been completed from Ocean toward Gardner's Basin, and you look at the boardwalk that we have down here, this one is unstable in many ways. And this is sort of a stopgap measure. And I think since the city owns it, there might be a joint committee to look at a plan for a long range. Mike, maybe that's something that you could take up there, at least a plan, so that when we spend the money, it's spent in a wise way toward an end goal. And even if we do sections at a time, it may be the way to deal with it, but I really think that we have to look hard at a long-range plan for the boardwalk itself. Howard?
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with that. I was up on the boardwalk with Tom the other day. We did the entire length of the tourism district, and I can attest there are conditions up there that need to be addressed quickly. And I also concur completely with the need for a more comprehensive plan, particularly when you start looking at the restroom facilities on the boardwalk.
That's been a big issue, Howard, and I'm glad you raised that, and it has to be addressed. I mean, we get the complaints all the time. It's hard. The infrastructure's not there, or if it was, it's gone. And that's the big issue here. This is not a small project. This is something that we need more than the CRDA to put together and fund. But I think if we had a plan, then at least we could start doing it in piecemeal sections.
We also identified some issues around different pieces of property, which we passed on to Mr. Durkins. I believe they've been taken care of.
Paul, are you here?
Yes, very
good. Do you have any disagreement with our comments?
No disagreements at all, Mr. Chairman, Board. I do want to say I want to thank everyone here. It's been several years since I've been here. Actually, I was here in 2013 when the CRDA came to the aid of the city with the 1.7 million. And as Matt had stated, that money has been exhausted. You are absolutely correct that this is a stopgap. This is a way that we can work towards getting those items that we have identified, over 22 locations, streets along the boardwalk that are in emergent need of repairs. In regards to other items, we talked about the bathrooms and the needs there. Absolutely correct. These are aged buildings. Minor repairs, I think, are no longer valid. There needs to be a plan to completely do reconstruction, as well as many sections of the boardwalk. We would like to also enter into that plan to do a major reconstruction. But this stopgap, as you had said, is a way that if the board approves, will assist us in maintaining and also eliminating some of the problems that I would and yourselves would consider hazardous for someone that is walking along the boardwalk.
My understanding too is that this money supplies the lumber and materials and the city's supplying the labor, is that correct?
Absolutely. We provided to Tom Yan a schedule, and we did a cost breakout for what we believe that would be contributed from our part for labor. And surprisingly enough, after we had done that, we found that it was pretty much a balance or an equal partnership in far as the labor amounts versus the amounts that we have requested.
Really like $1 million stopgap.
That's correct. Yeah.
Unfortunately, but that's where it's at. Board discussion. Anybody have any other further comments? Public comment. Bill?
You know, well, I'm glad I came to this meeting. I'm hearing all these projects that you have in mind, and I'm finally seeing that everybody's waking up to the fact that our beach and our boardwalk is our key thing to our city. They're the most important things that we have, that other gambling capitals don't have. We have that beach and that boardwalk, and we have neglected it for quite a few years. So see, the old timers, man, that beach and boardwalk is it, man. They took care of that before they took care of other things, because they knew that was their bread and butter. I'm glad everybody here in this room here is beginning to see that. That's our bread and butter. We need to get back to it, taking care of it. Thank you.
Bill, as always, thank you. Other comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll close the public session. I'll accept the motion to approve the resolution. It's been moved by Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mo. Any further comment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is we have a lot of these intergovernmental agreements today. It's an intergovernmental agreement with the County of Atlantic on the police officer training. I sort of referred to it before when I introduced Colonel Fedorko. This is authorization for a fund reservation of an amount not to exceed $135,000 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund, and to negotiate and execute an intergovernmental agreement with the County of Atlantic for additional instructors to train regular and Class II police officers serving in the Tourism District. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving a supplemental fund reservation not to exceed $135,000 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund for the 2019 city budget, and an intergovernmental agreement with the County of Atlantic to hire instructors to train Class II and regular police officers who will be deployed to the Atlantic City Tourism District beginning by the summer of 2019.
Mr. Chairman, I will be recusing myself from this one and the next one.
Okay, Howard. Anybody else recusing? Yeah, go ahead.
This funding is to assist the hiring of additional instructors to train 12 recruits currently Class II Academy and set to graduate in June, and a new class of recruits up to 30 to begin training on April 15th with the graduation the first week of July. In addition, 14 Class II officers will be elevated to regular full-time status, and 7 of these promotions are expected to occur in April of this year. These officers will be required to successfully pass a 3-week training course. Some or all of these officers will be assigned to the Tourism District.
Board discussion. Public comment. Close the public session, accept a motion to approve.
Move it.
Moved by the mayor. Is there a second? seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is an intergovernmental agreement with the County of Atlantic. This is for the maintenance of the Oscar McClinton Waterfront Park maintenance. It's authorization to extend the existing intergovernmental agreement with the County of Atlantic for park maintenance for an additional 1 year. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving a 1-year extension to the intergovernmental agreement with the County of Atlantic for the Special Improvement District Division to provide landscaping services for the county-owned Oscar McClinton Waterfront Park in the Atlantic City Tourism District.
Howard, are you recusing?
Yes, I am.
Okay. This is something that's gone on for 10 years. We've had an agreement with Atlantic County to perform the services on this park area. It's for the same amount, $20,395 annually, and it's landscaping services provided, including grass cutting, aeration, seeding, dead plant removal, trash removal, tree trimming, and so on. This is a 1-year extension to the extension is an option in the agreement to cover 2019. Board discussion. Public comment. Yes, sir.
Mike Lopez, resident. As a former county employee and working with Rick Santora's Special Improvement, and a resident right there who gets to walk, ride my bike through that park, I thank you. And anything we can do to keep that thing beautiful, because during the summertime and in the spring and the fall, many activities within the community, whether it's cookouts, concerts, and that thing looks beautiful. So thank you for that, and it's a great place. Come visit it sometime if you guys don't know where it's at.
Thanks for the comments. Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Accept a motion to approve the agreement.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Tolson, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Next, we have Jim Whalen, Boardwalk Hall Events Authorization to negotiate and execute a non-exclusive public-private partnership booking and promotion agreement with Live Nation Mid-Atlantic Incorporated for events in Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall. This continues our mission to attract tourism and provide world-class entertainment. We are also entering into a new public-private partnership agreement with Live Nation to increase the number of events at Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall. This, in essence, guarantees major events coming to the arena. Concurrently, our Beach Concert Festival partnered with Live Nation sold out virtually immediately. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving the negotiation and execution of a non-exclusive public-private partnership booking and promotion agreement with Live Nation Mid-Atlantic Incorporated for indoor performances at Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall.
Anybody recused? I think it sort of is the description I gave. I don't see any reason. If anybody wants any questions, any comments from members of the board?
Just a request that we make sure that the contract, when executed, is favorable for CRDA and Atlantic City.
Don't worry. Yes, I understand. Any other board discussion? Any public comment? Yes, sir.
Yes, hi, I'm Mark Zarek. I'm a member of Local 77 Stagehands. We set up the shows at the Boardwalk Hall and the beach concerts and other venues around Atlantic City. Before CRDA started funding these events through Live Nation, and I think actually before that, we had a lot of empty dates at the Boardwalk Hall. Our beach sat empty many summers. And so since your involvement, I think it's been about 5 years now, total. I just really wanted to reiterate that how important this is to the community. Recently, one of the casino executives expressed his pleasure with a selection for one of the shows or something to that. And, I've been to every show at the Boardwalk Hall and the beach, and we've had rock, hip-hop, country, you name it. It's a varied set of performances. So that's what's important. It attracts people, all different segments of the community. The fact that it employs not only the stagehands, but hundreds of other people in the community. It's just a benefit to everyone and to the city of Atlantic City. So we applaud it, and we hope you continue it. Thank you.
Mark, thank you for your comments, and please share our thanks to all the members that participated in putting this thing together, because everybody, this is part of a family in the sense that the city's a family, and everybody's working together for the same end, and I appreciate your comments.
Yeah, thank you. Our members consist of men and women from Atlantic County, from Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, everywhere in the area, and it really adds to, we move around, we do shows all over in the casinos, outside, everywhere, and every little piece is part of our employment.
Good.
So it's not just, we're not full-time every day, 9 to 5. We just go when you need us, and we'll continue to do so.
Thank you, Mark. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment section. Accept a motion from board members to adopt the resolution.
Motion to accept.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further comment from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So ordered. Item number 6, I'm withdrawing from the agenda.
Motion to table.
Yeah. I'll accept a motion to table it. There's some issues that have not been resolved, and I don't want to...
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor to table it, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item is the John R. Elliott Hero Campaign. It's authorization for a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $20,000 from the Atlantic City Tourism District and Community Development Fund, and to negotiate and execute a funding agreement with John R. Elliott Hero Campaign for designated drivers for the 2019 Holiday Hero Safe Ride Program in Atlantic City. Lisa, would you please read the
Before
resolution?
you do that, Mr. Chairman,
I was going to call on you right after we read it.
I'm going to recuse. I need to recuse.
I understand that, but I want you to talk about the program. So we'll wait on the resolution. Just talk about the program, because you've been instrumental in that. People need to hear about it.
Sorry, Chairman,
he
recuses himself.
I haven't recused him yet. I wanted to wait to recuse until we talked about it. All right. Rich has been very instrumental in putting this program together. I understand legally we get into these little things. In my opinion, there are little ways to get around it, but we didn't get around it. It's a great program. They're dedicated to preventing drunk driving deaths and injuries by promoting the use of responsible designated drivers. We are only paying for a portion of the program. I think it's $20,000 that is well spent, and I offer Howard.
Yeah, I'll reiterate that. Through the County Office of Highway Safety, we've worked with Mr. Elliott on this program. It's an excellent program. I think it's been around for about 10 years or more. About 20 years, wow, that long. It's been around for a long time, highly credible, very dedicated organization, and I really believe what they're doing does save lives. It encourages younger people to think about drinking and when they're driving. It offers them the ability to have designated drivers. I see their educational campaigns in liquor stores and bars and so forth, so I think this is a very valid and valuable service that they offer, and I really recommend that we support this.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
I
before
also,
I do
as a
that-
past board member of the Hero Campaign, they do tremendous work in our community. My organization has been very supportive of this goal. It's a great program. As Mr. Kyle said, it affects so many people, especially young kids. So I truly hope we all will support this.
Yeah, so I screwed this up by not reading the resolution first, but I thought we might be able to get the comments to it. So Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $20,000 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund, and authorizing the negotiation and execution of a grant agreement with the John R. Elliott Foundation in support of the 2019 Holiday Heroes Safe Ride Program and Hero Teeny Mocktail Challenge Contest.
Thank you, and Rich, you're recusing yourself. Anybody else? We pretty well described the description. Any other board members want to make a comment about this?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Jim.
I've had the honor of being involved for the last 20 years when it first started. It's not only in Atlantic City, but it's a statewide program and in other states as well. I got to give it to Bill and Miriam. They put their heart and soul in this program for 20 years. And just to follow up what Howard said, there's no doubt in my mind they have saved lives in New Jersey because of this program, and I'm confident we'll save lives in Atlantic City with the program as well.
Other comments from board members? Public comments? Anybody from the public wish to speak to this issue? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment section.
Motion. I'd be willing to comment.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm John Elliott's father, Bill Elliott.
Go ahead.
And I want to thank all of you, and thank the board for this contribution and this support for what we believe is a practical program. And as Howard was saying, and as Gary was saying, as I look around the room, most of you have participated in this program, supporting us individually through your businesses, through your organizations, through the city. We have one simple goal, and that is to save lives and to prevent people from getting that knock on the door that we received almost 19 years ago now, after our son had graduated with honors from the United States Naval Academy, was heading to flight school, was coming home for his mother's birthday, was hit and killed by a drunk driver. We couldn't get him back, but what we decided was, in his memory, to save lives so his legacy would be one of service to his country. We think he would approve that.
Sure.
But people have always asked, how do you know you're doing any good? We've done surveys, Stockton University, where we're located, has done surveys that show people are aware of the program, have responded, are changing behavior. But this program that you are supporting today will literally enable us to give free rides to people who are patrons of participating clubs, bars, casinos, who've been drinking alcoholic beverages and need a ride home, as determined by the servers, the club managers, and so on. We've received nothing but enthusiastic support, so your money will be commingled with contributions from other sponsors, other businesses. And then we will provide the money for these free rides home. Uber is one of our sponsors. So literally, we can give thousands of rides home from people who are in or around the Atlantic City area, enjoying what we have to offer, but making sure they enjoy it safely. So we'll be able to tell you after this is done, we're going to do this on a pilot basis from Thanksgiving to New Year's, but as the program grows, it can grow. We can expand it to other times of the year and perhaps other geographic areas. We'll be able to say we gave X number of rides home to people who needed a ride home and reduced DUIs along with that. So it's exciting. We think it's going to get a lot of attention, and in a very real way, you're helping to save lives. So thank you.
Well, I thank you. These are never easy issues for parents, and I think that what you've done is taken a tragedy and turned it into a positive. And for that, I commend you, your family. I know the board does. You may never know the number, but you're going to know that you did. And that's the important thing about this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Hearing none.
Motion.
Second.
A motion approved. Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So ordered. The next item on the agenda is staff uniforms. Authorization to award contracts to WB Mason Landsman Incorporated and Action Uniforms in an aggregate amount not to exceed $45,000 for the purchase of uniforms for the Special Improvement District Division staff. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority awarding contracts to WB Mason, Landsman Incorporated, and Action Uniform Company LLC for the purchase of uniforms for personnel of the Special Improvement District Division in an aggregate amount not to exceed $45,000 from the 2019 Special Improvement District budget.
Anybody need to be recused? This is simply a bid. We have a variety of items. The three companies were low bidders in different areas of the bid. So in each item, the low bidder won, and it's a pretty simple thing. Any board discussion?
One question.
Yes, sir.
Origin of production,
What's that?
where are they made?
Do we know where they're made?
No.
We could research it. We go out, we did the actual type of uniform, not the country of uniform, and then the responsive bidders bid on, that supply that type of uniform.
I think we should be a little more diligent in who's making them, how they're being made, and they're not made in sweatshops.
Do you think any of these are?
I have no idea. I know WB Mason's, national, right?
Yeah.
Landsman's local. We built their building.
Yeah.
None of them make the uniforms, they all buy them from other suppliers, so we have to drill in a little bit deeper.
I think that we should. I think it would be appropriate.
You wish to hold this up?
How needy are we for these?
We have par stocks coming right out of the box January the 1st. We have labor agreements that stipulate certain par stocks, and we have safety and turnout gear is included there for certain work that they
So
do.
you need this stuff?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I think this should be part of the bidding process going forward, and maybe we talk about it internally. I don't want to hold this up, but I think any and all of our purchases, we should be considerate of how things are being made.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Any other comments from board members? Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to approve the bids.
Motion. Second.
Any further comment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Next item we have is landscaping, hardscape, and plant materials. Authorization to award one or more contracts to Warner's Construction Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $44,000 for landscaping, hardscape, and plant materials. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority awarding one or more as-needed contracts in an amount not to exceed $44,000 to Warner's Construction Incorporated for the purchase of landscaping, hardscape, and plant materials for the CRDA Special Improvement District through December 31st, 2019.
Anybody need to be recused? All I can say is, looking at some of the items, I wish I could get those prices in some of the stores around. This is pretty simple. We do it every year. Any board discussion? Any public comment? Motion to adopt.
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Gann. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mo. Foreseeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. The next item on the agenda is property boarding services. Authorization to extend the current contract with Iconelli Contracting Company for services on an as-needed basis for an additional one-year term. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority extending the contract to Iconelli Contracting Incorporated to provide property boarding and securing, debris removal, fence and plaque installation services on an as-needed basis through December 31st, 2019, with a not-to-exceed spending limit of $30,000.
We're extending a contract. We had appropriated $30,000 last year. We didn't spend any. Hopefully, we'll spend some of this money because that means we'll be making some progress on the city. Board discussion. Public comment. Motion to adopt.
Motion.
Who moved it? Mark moved it. Second? Mayor.
Second.
Mayor seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. The next item, computer hardware. Approval to purchase computer equipment from Dell Computers in an amount not to exceed $115,000, and this is under a state contract known as M-0483. Lisa?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving the procurement of computer hardware and associated licensed software under statewide contract M-0483 with a spending authorization not to exceed $115,000.
Any recusals? I think, Matt, you'll agree with me that when we looked at the current setup of desktops and laptops, and they're out of warranty, they're old, and we're leaving systems potentially unstable, slower, and vulnerable to exploit. This is important. The average age of hardware is about 5 years, so this is a recommendation to replace desktops/laptops on a 3 or 4 year cycle. All legacy hardware is out of support warranty. Anything else, may I add to that?
No, sir.
Board discussion? Public comment? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the bid.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Tolson.
Second.
Seconded by the mayor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. The last administrative item here is every once in a while we look at unspent project fund reservations where there may be money that's lapsed and there's no further action in that area. So this motion is approval to release and reallocate the unspent project funds to the general fund. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority releasing and reallocating unspent project funds for the Atlantic City Housing Fund and the Atlantic City Tourism District and Community Development Fund, as applicable.
Any recusals? As I indicated, it's a pretty simple thing. I'm sure you read your material. Any further discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? It's about $1 million in funds that have lapsed in one way or another, being put back in the general fund. Any other public comment? Bill?
Yes, now, that fund that you're gonna put back into your
General fund.
general fund, why can't some of that money be put back into our city's funds, which is a low zero?
Well, it's our money that we've had there in these accounts.
Well, we could use it, I mean, I don't care where it came from.
I think the mayor would stand here and beg if I could give him $1 million, but
Well, I'm begging, that's what I'm saying.
Directly, that's where it goes. Directly goes.
It has to go through that account to get the city account.
That's what it is?
any other comment? Hearing none, close the public session. All those in favor say, oh, wait a minute, I gotta get a motion. Eddie's moved it. Is there a second? Seconded by Mo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Next, we come to the public comment portion of the meeting. If anybody in the public wishes to address the board, we'd be delighted to hear from you. Please state your name. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Tom Foley. I live here in Atlantic City. I also served on the Atlantic City Fire Department for over 30 years, and I was the Director of Emergency Management for 12. As a matter of fact, I can't believe this station, you know, this is so cool. I served right here. This was engine run and ladder who, you know, because this was engine one, that was ladder two. And we served here a lot of years and fought a lot of fires out of this station, sometimes in the station. And so, because of what we had here. And that's the reason that I'm here today, is I know, I'm sure a lot of our people who work for the city would love to be here and making comments about, because I know all of them. I mean, I've known them all my life. And what I see in this city is an absolute disgrace. And it's gotten worse than in 40 years. The money that this city has generated for the state of New Jersey, and for New Jersey to let this city go the way it is an absolute total disgrace. Not even saying what they've done to the fire department here in the city. Cut their salaries by 20%, increased their time to 56 hours a week. Who works 56 hours a week anymore? Well, you get paid overtime, don't you, for that? Well, some of us get paid overtime for it. Richard, I know you were getting paid overtime when you were working out of books. Oh, I know that. I was the president of the union myself, as you know, for 13 years. So I can tell you that this is what's happening here in the city. If you see these fire stations, you see the lead paint falling off the walls. You see the asbestos and the mold and everything else that's in those fire stations. You see the equipment. The newest piece of equipment that we have in the city of Atlantic City is 12 years old. Now, the lifetime of a fire truck is usually about 7 years. That's maximum. And that's from all the experts out there. And then you take a look at the streets in this city, the sewers in this city, the bulkheads in the city. I know Tom and I worked on the bulkheads, 8 years ago, Tom? We rode around and did movies and put money in and tried to get, Jim Rotella has been working with us great to try to get the infrastructure fixed. But you guys got the money. The state of New Jersey has the money that's generated from the city. Luxury tax alone is over $100 million. Just that. And how did they pass casino gaming and the way it was and then change it without the vote of the general public? And you all know that when we did it, I was on the board, it was called CLIC. And a lot of the union guys were on there too. It was a committee of labor to improve the city. And we worked very hard for that legislation, and it got passed. But the money was supposed to stay here in Atlantic City, at least 2% forever. And we get nothing now. The only thing we get is property taxes for the casino, and that's now been frozen for 10 years. Now you take a look at what we need to do, and this is what I suggest. I suggest that this board put an infrastructure committee together, and a really strong one that makes annual reports to the board to generate money for the city for infrastructure improvements. It has to be done. I mean, our roadways, our fire trucks, our street department vehicles. You ever see the street department vehicles? There's so much rust on them, they're about ready to fall apart. Not only counting the fire trucks and police cars and every other thing we have in the city. It's a mess. And it's because the state of New Jersey has been neglecting this city forever. And that's a fact. 40 years now. Just some of your board members, go around the city and look at I'm sure the mayor will take you, go around and look at the inside of these stations, these workplaces, these ladies and gentlemen working. And I keep repeating myself, it's a disgrace, and it has to be done. And not to shift it onto the taxpayers, because we were given a promise some 40 years ago, us taxpayers here in the city, that we were not going to pay property taxes. You all remember that? Remember that, Gary? Yeah. And what happened? Our property taxes have gone through the roof. We have people moving out because they can't pay. And this is what's going on. And I know you know what's happening in the city. And I know that you have it in mind to do something about it. But now it's about time to get it done, and get it done now. Form the committee, research this area, and report back annually. And make these type of intergovernment agreements that you make. I applaud you for these. But there has to be a lot more, because it's in bad shape. That's all I got to say.
Jeff Rosenberger. I'd like to say ditto. I'll get it. There are certain things that should be funded without question. This is where the luxury tax used to come in handy. Things like our stoplights, things like our bathrooms, things like our boardwalks. The luxury tax was created in 1944 specifically to fund the creation of the boardwalk after the storm washed it away. So our money is missing. Our people are unhappy. We don't want to be unhappy. Our tourists, when you look at the numbers are up last month, but 6 of the existing 7 houses did not generate as much income this year as they did last year. So we do need this investment into our infrastructure to be successful. Things like the lighthouse. There's certain things that just belong funded, period. Thank you.
And then, Chairman, real quickly, just one point. Are you aware, Mr. Foley, I know you for years, that the vast majority of CRDA revenue now goes to pay city's debt? It doesn't come to CRDA.
Yes,
All right.
which is another disgrace.
Right.
Paying back the Borgata Casino Hotel $70 million is an absolute disgrace. And they spit right in our face when they sold half of it for $900 million the very next day.
You're
After that
absolutely,
legislation
Mr. Foley, I couldn't agree with you more about that. Howard's absolutely right. We're paying between $24 and $25 million a year to pay the bonds off for the debt the city had incurred. And it will continue until 2026, at which time that will be over. Look, none of us disagree with the fact that the infrastructure's here. That was a responsibility that should have been going on when the city was getting all the money from the casinos instead of where it was going. I can't disagree with you. It's the problem now is that with $26 million a year going out, we don't have all that much money left to spend. I'm not sure we're the right people to put together the infrastructure committee. We'd certainly be part of it. But I can't disagree. It's like the boardwalk. You better have a plan for where we're going. And the city better have a plan for where the infrastructure is and where it should be and how long it's going to take to get
And
there.
I don't want to prolong this discussion, but real quick, I want to point out that we did fund, I think it was $3 million prepaid Pacific Avenue for the city.
Yep.
We did fund street lighting, new street lamps on the boardwalk. We also did fund the surveillance cameras up there. That
Right.
gives us state-of-the-art equipment for the city. So I think the CRDA has stepped up and done a lot for the infrastructure in the city. A lot more needs to be done. There's no doubt about that, because I drive around the city and see what you see. But I think this agency has stepped up a good part of the way.
I agree with that, Howard, and I think that that doesn't mean we don't all work together to get there. And that, I think, has been lacking until we've had at least in the last year with the special project group that sits in the city building and plans to deal with some of these issues. I just think it's important that people understand how much money we have or don't have compared to what we're paying out a year. And so it's hard when you think about taking a chunk of $26 million. We don't spend that much on everything else together. So it's hard. But there's a lot of landmark things that we've done, as Howard has said, to make progress in the city. And as I've said for many, many years, everybody has to work together to fix the problem. And they got to be farsighted, but you need a plan, and you need to figure out how you're going to do it each year. Other comments from the public? Bill?
There you go. You said two magic words there that I've been saying for most of my life, really. Work together. You must have a plan. People without a plan soon fail.
Has left the
Soon
conference.
fail. And that's what has happened to Atlantic City. We didn't have a plan. Not this administration now, but the administration from the beginning didn't have a plan. And I'm standing here because I know what I'm talking about. I wrote a letter way back to 5 commissioners, 5, at that time, for a plan. Everybody ignored me like I was crazy, period. Way back then. So you guys been, not you guys, but the powers that be have been ignoring this little guy for a lot of years. A lot of years. That's why I never got elected at all. Seriously. I had to have a cop at the house to protect my house because I had a plan. I was the only candidate that had a plan for a city. And I'm watching some of the things I had on that plan, you guys have picked up and instituted and executed.
You were ahead of your time, Bill.
So, yeah, that's what's wrong.
Hopefully we can, look, we desperately need to do things in a sensible way. And the sensible way is to have a plan and have a vision, and then figure out how you're going to get it done in steps, because none of us have the money to do it all together. Hopefully by the time the bonds are paid off, we'll be in a position, and if there's a plan, even 26 is not that far away. And if there's a plan in place, you can plan to start doing it. It's like the boardwalk. If we don't have a comprehensive plan for the boardwalk, we can't keep doing $1 million a year for stopgap to fix it, because it's never gonna be the way it should be, so.
Well, one
Thank you.
thing you need to do about that boardwalk, you need to dig all that sand that's under the boardwalk right now, dig it all out and move it towards the ocean, because that's where all that sand was at one time. And you can walk under the boardwalk. You can walk under the boardwalk for blocks. That's why you could see what was going on wrong with it.
Right.
And a whole lot of other things you were looking at.
Other public comment?
3 things very quickly. Thank you, Chief Foley, and I like the Vice Chairman's way of thinking when it comes to uniforms. And the restorative narrative story of Mr. Elliott, thank you. Your foundation has saved many, many lives, not just here in Atlantic County, visitors and whatnot, so thank you for what you do.
Any other comments? As usual, the board's very appreciative of the comments that come from the public. It certainly helps to frame how we think about things, and it's a very valuable piece of what we do here. So I thank you all for your comments and appreciate it very much. At this point, we're going to go into executive session to discuss some contract negotiations. I expect that when we're done, there will be action that will be taken. So at this point, I'd accept the resolution to close the public portion of the meeting.
Make a motion.
Made, million seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And now I'll accept the motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So ordered. You've heard the resolution. This basically talks about the terms of the agreement and the license agreement between us and the Atlantic City Arena football team. Comments or questions from board members?
Fine job lowering the price.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, any public comment? Not that I see anybody from the public other than the press. I'll close the public session. I'll accept a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gant, seconded by Howard. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Next is a resolution for the amendment to the capital budget, providing $200,000 for items that are necessary to, for the franchise for arena football. Paul, you want to read the resolution?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority amending the Convention Center Division 2019 capital improvement budget.
You've heard the resolution. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Gant, seconded.
Second.
Gary seconded. Any discussion from board members? Any public discussion? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the resolution. It's been moved and said, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. That concludes the actions that were taken in the executive session. The public meeting is now open. I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Polson. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. So ordered.